Well, so what's interesting is that, and we were talking a little before we started filming this, there have been a number of significant upheavals around the world and inside our own borders over the last 5 years. So I mentioned the European and the Greek government debt default crises. Those happened, for sure, a couple times, a couple of waves of those. We had our own fiscal problems where we stopped operating the government for a little while, which doesn't inspire confidence in the country, and one where we were close to defaulting on our own government debt, not making our normal debt payments that we should make. Um, those were significant hiccups, which if they had gone any further could have caused real disruption. There have been, weakness. Japan has been up and down, had its moments where it looked like it was resurging, and then it's not, maybe. So all kinds of developments, and to say nothing of the sort of the terrorist attacks here and abroad, which upset people for sure, for good reason. Um, Despite that, over the last 6 years, officially since June of 2009, we've grown at a little above 2%, which is not dramatic, but it's enough to to engender significant continued progress in the labor markets. Unemployment kept falling all the way through that time period. So we've proven to be, I think, a pretty resilient economy, better than the euro area, a little better than the UK, better than Japan for sure. So among developed economies, we're doing pretty well. And it's not to say that there aren't things we want to see improve even more, but there seems to be a resilience to the economy so far, which we hope will continue. There's good reason to believe that it will. It's based on the fact that we're large, that we're diversified, that we are innovative as a country. So we keep finding new ways to do things that improve our productivity and keep growth going. Um, we have a great educational system at the high end of the educational system. We have some work to do on the lower end for many locations around the country, but that's part of, I think, where resiliency comes from, and I think it'll continue. So I talked earlier about the need for collaboration and leadership,
Yeah, yes.
and I think that's critical. It's something that's important for regional economic development because one, the problems that regions face are complicated and require a multidisciplinary approach, and they require the collaboration between the state, the local government, the nonprofits in the area, and all of the private sector businesses who ultimately are going to provide jobs for folks by and large. So the collaborative approach is important for economic development. It's really important for the problems facing the nation as well, some of which are grossly overstated and mischaracterized for political reasons. Nonetheless, if they're properly characterized based on data and research, we have some long run challenges. We have some challenges still in healthcare. We have challenges in making sure that everybody gets through a decent education and has a reasonable chance of getting a stable and reliable source of income. There are still tens of millions of people today and more who are being born as we speak who are not going to have that opportunity. That's not, in my view, that's not right for this country. And the way to approach that problem and those sets of problems is collaboratively, um, with a focus on careful measurement and analysis of what works, because we don't always know what works. So we have to be willing to approach that flexibly, try to innovate, and where things don't work, we stop doing them. And frankly, there are cases now where the government and nonprofits and others are spending money on things that have not had the impact that we would have liked. To some extent, we have to redirect resources away from those methods that are well intentioned but not working to things that have a greater promise of actually making an impact, especially for low income and moderate income citizens around the country. So that collaborative thing really does matter, and I don't think all of our political leaders are setting the example that we'd like them to put it mildly. So I'd like to see leadership that changes the tone of discourse, because it's fine to have disagreements. These are problems about which we shouldn't all agree, but we're not engaging with one another productively, and that's exactly what we need to do.
So that's what we should be looking for in choosing our next set.
When you go to vote, you vote for someone who's more likely to actually work with people from whatever the other side is, because without that, we're not going anywhere. So that's my last little point. So that sounds like a political stump speech almost,
No,
but
no,
it's
not at all.
it's independent, I think. Okay.
Okay.
Well, good. It's always nice to talk with you,
Thank
and
you
nice
so
to
much,
see you.
Jeff. Nice to see you. Thanks a lot.
All right.